you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
I'm Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ireland season that makes official. Welcome to the big show. As always, the Chris Voss Show is a family. For 16 years and over 2,400 episodes, we bring in the Chris Voss Show. We just launched into our 17th year yesterday. Well, hold on. I think it was the 18th. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, it's always in August. Anyway, thanks so much for tuning in. Refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives, damn it. For 16 years, what do we got to do to impress you people? Go to goodreads.com/says Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/says Chris Voss, Chris Voss One, the Sick Talkity, and Facebook.com/says Chris Voss. Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind. Today's featured author comes to us from bookstolifemarketing.co.uk. With expert publishing to strategic marketing, they help authors reach their audience and maximize their book's success. Today we have an amazing young man on the show. Fred Joyal joins us on the show. His book is called Superbold, From Underconfident to Charismatic in 90 Days. Out September 15th, 2021. We're going to get into it with him and find out how you could be super bold. Now, we're not, the first step is to bathe daily so you don't smell super bold. I think that's one of the rules. I don't know. We'll find out. That's why we have him on the show. Fred Joyal is a keynote speaker and best-selling author and lifelong entrepreneur. People tell me I always smell bold, but that's why I'm still single. He co-founded 1-800-DENTIST. That's awesome, which became the world's largest dentist referral service, generating an aggregate of over $1 billion in revenue. Well, he was CEO and lots of people doing that gas stuff. That's always fun, that high you get from the gas. Anyway, his latest book, Superbold, From Underconfident to Charismatic in 90 Days, which I clearly need, is a Wall Street Journal and an Amazon bestseller. His humble brags are he blew the last question as a guest on Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, losing $250,000, and he once beat Sir Branson in chess. Welcome to the show. How are you, friend?
I'm awesome, Chris. I'm excited to be here and chat on your phenomenal show.
Yeah. Did you just go slap that fifth grader who you lost to? Is that I would have done it.
Fortunately, it wasn't like a match against a fifth grader.
Oh, okay. All right.
But you do get at the end of it, I had to say, I may be the CEO of 800 Dentists, but I am not smarter than a fifth grader. They make you say that if you blow.
Did it really?
Yeah,
wow.
It's really funny.
Put it on video for everyone to see for all eternity. Wow. That's as bad as when I tried OnlyFans for 5 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. So anyway, give us a 30,000. Or do we get your .coms? Let's get a .coms where people can find you on the internet, please.
Yeah, fredjoyal.com is my website, and all my handles everywhere. Joyal, like royal. And it's out there. And, easy to find.
So give us a 30,000 overview. What's inside your book?
It is a systematic way that anyone can increase their boldness faster than they imagined possible. The premise is that boldness is not a personality trait. It's a life skill that you can learn, and it has a tremendous impact on every aspect of your life if you develop this skill.
So what is boldness in your definition and being super bold, as it were?
Well, boldness is all about action. A lot of times people think confidence and boldness are the same thing. Confidence is how you feel about yourself, and you may or may not ever take action. It's how you strut around the world, how you present yourself. Boldness is all about action. It's what you do. The times you step up, you speak up, the risks you take, the challenges you take on, and bringing your full self out to the world. And that being super bold is really just saying, I'm comfortable wherever I am. Even if you don't deep down feel that way, you present that way. And what happens is your life becomes that way. People respond to that.
They really do. I mean, I do that throughout my life. I kind of like to entertain people. It's kind of why I have a podcast. And I have issues. I'm kind of like a comedian. If you laugh at my jokes, you give me crack fuel in the brain. Like, I'm just like, more jokes. Comedians go through that. When they hear the audience laugh, it just becomes a thing. Well, I like to entertain people. I've sometimes I've had family in their darkest moments in the hospital, and I'll go in and start telling them jokes, and I can tell they're afraid. I'm afraid, and that's kind of how I guess it's a weird way I process shit. But sometimes in the darkest moments, finding the comedy in life, find the gratitude and the basics, it really helps. But, I can go onto a plane and I can make friends in the aisle. I usually sit down and take command right away. I can command in an elevator. I usually, wherever I go, I kind of am always working a crowd a little bit, or I'll work the people. And, I'm just funny. I'm trying to be interesting to people. But, yeah, it takes a little bit of boldness. I mean, most people.
Well, you're making me nervous when you say you take command of the plane. I mean,
not that.
Are you bringing a sharp weapon on board with you or something?
No, we don't do that. No, just when I sit down, I'll just shake hands with the two people in my row, and I'll be like, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Chris Voss. Pleasure to meet you." I'll start off with a joke.
You haven't programmed it out of you. That's the whole thing.
Because when you sit down and the awkward silence starts, it's hard to cut back into it because everyone kind of isolates mentally. But if you break it on the beginning and people know that you can roll and be funny and be cool and I can have two whole rows of the plane laughing at my jokes and tuning into me, and the waitress is giving us free drinks and we're just having a ball. And the plane flight is so miserable. I mean,
it's not an ideal comfort zone, right?
It's not, yeah. But do you find that you work with people that were introverts? Did you ever deal with that in your life?
I've worked with really painfully shy people that I don't want to call it socially maladjusted, but they're just fearful in public. And I get them out and I start to make them do things out of their comfort zone when there's no real consequences. I took a young man that I was coaching, and I took him into In-N-Out hamburgers. And I said, I want you to shout at the top of your lungs, I love hamburgers. And he did it. And his dad couldn't believe it. He says he never does anything remotely like that. And I have a video of him doing it.
Wow.
And of course, nothing happened. People went, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not, but he was really uncomfortable doing it till he did it and realized there were no negative consequences. And that gave him just a little bit more move in the direction of boldness.
Yeah. I grew up an introvert. I grew up watching, very quiet, had a very crazy childhood. And I grew up watching people and being very quiet because it was my only way to survive, because, I grew up in a cult. And I, very early age, figured out that these people are full of shit. And they want me to believe it. So I learned to just isolate and kind of like stoicism and just watch people and try and figure out this fucking game that was being played. And in life, you're trying to figure out life. People are always like, when did you become a big mouth and have all this charisma, I guess? I don't know. And it was like, well, I became a CEO. You had to start selling everything when you're a CEO of a company. I started my first company at 18. So I went from the introvert to the big mouth because I had to. You had to sell the employees. You had to sell your vision. You had to sell the investors your vision. You had to sell your vendors your vision. You had to constantly be selling. And so you're always talking to the people. You're doing the company newsletter. You're leading, it just became a thing because it had to be, right? That's what a CEO does all day. He's walking around, touching the hearts and mind of his people and trying to inspire them and motivate them. And, that's what you do as a coach. I mean, a coach doesn't sit in the sidelines and say nothing. Maybe Andy Reid does. I don't know. He's pretty quiet. But so tell us what, now you talk about going from underconfident to charisma. What is charisma to you? How does that show up? Is that kind of in the same vein of what we've been talking about with boldness?
Charisma is really just when you're comfortable wherever you are.
Yeah.
And people see that and they're drawn to that, and that you're bringing your full self and you are unabashed about that full self. Mm-hmm. You may be really weird or unusual or whatever, or you may actually be something that a lot of people are drawn to, but you don't care. Uh-huh. You're not worried about every person's opinion. There's a small number of people whose opinions matter to you. Mm-hmm. But you're not trying to be the life of the party. You're trying to chase your dreams. Yeah. And however that engages the world, that's what you're going to do. And people are just drawn magnetically to that.
They are. I mean, people are drawn to a leader, and I think some of that's leadership. Would you say some of that is?
Oh, yeah.
In a way. I mean, if I go, I'll walk into a coffee shop and I'll just start rapping with the attendant, and it's a short little exchange, but I make it interesting, and I do it because I'm bored. And the other thing is too is I hate that tension of quietness where we all pretend, that's that elevator tension. I remember when I was younger, I saw Stephen. What's his last name? But he does those bits where he's like, I put the slinky down the elevator and I spent last night trying to round off infinity. And he did this thing.
Steve Wright.
Yeah. Oh, he's so amazing. And I remember seeing him on SNL when he first came out. And that's how old I am. Gen Z is what's SNL? Saturday Night Live Kids. And so there was one of his jokes where he talked about how he would go into the elevator and stand there funny, really quiet. And he goes, did you guys have your grandfather practice this, or did you guys practice this elevator silence? And it's just weird. I mean, it just feels weird. It feels inhuman. And I find people curious. I have a real curiosity for people. What was it? Don King? Who was the guy who used to be on CNN all the time? The great radio guy, King. I'm horrible with names. Can you tell?
Yeah, and I can't help you on that one.
There you go. I'm screwing both of us up. But he said, hey, he goes, I talk to people everywhere I go. I love to interview people. I really do. He just didn't do it for a job. And you collect stories. That's what I am. I'm a story collector. So I like talking to people. Who are you? What do you do? Why do you do it? And I'm curious about that because I'm bored with me. I know all the stupid shit about me. I'm over it. And so I think this is a healthy attitude, but you're right. It lights up. I can light up a room. I can get everybody laughing. I can have a whole fucking Starbucks laughing at me. And it's not that I'm good at jokes or being a comedian. Sometimes I'm just say some things that, people are thinking. So, you'd be stuck in a line, and you want to claw your face off at the store or something. And, I just turn and look at people's groceries or look at something on the thing, and I'll be like, hey, that made for TV product probably is not good for you. People will laugh because they've thought the same shit, but they're kind of like too introverted to say it, or they've kind of been taught to have this weird silent tension.
Yeah, to not speak until they were spoken to or whatever. Or they don't want to. We're deeply committed in our DNA to not stand out because on the African plain, if you stood out, you got booted from the tribe and basically you were dead. Something was going to eat you, or another tribe was going to enslave you or kill you. So fitting in is really important, and the way people do that most of the time is by playing it safe, by being quiet, by not standing out. And I just say, is that what you want on your tombstone? I played it safe right to the end, because that's where all the regret comes. At the end of your life, you go, I should have lived the life I wanted to instead of the ones people expected of me.
Mhm.
That's really the number one regret people have on their deathbed is not living their own life.
Yeah. And charisma, how do you develop that? Does everyone kind of have some value of charisma?
I think they have the ability to summon it, but they have to build their boldness, which boldness builds like a muscle. It builds because you do things that make you uncomfortable, just like when you're working out in the gym.
Yeah.
If you had a comfortable workout, you didn't work out, you know, so you're straining yourself. And it's the same thing with boldness. You do bold things when the stakes are really low, like talking to people in an elevator. Nobody's going to beat you to death for doing that in the elevator. I mean, they probably feel like beating you to death sometimes, Chris,
over the bad jokes usually.
By the 30th floor, it's like they organize and tie you up and gag
That's
you.
usually what happens in bigger buildings.
But as you build your boldness, you become more and more comfortable wherever you are. Yeah. And that's when you start to feel that charisma. It's a feedback loop because bold action comes with all these positive rewards. When you don't stop yourself, you realize nobody else is stopping me. I had it in my head that somebody's going to stop me. I can't go there. I can't do this. I can't try that. Bold people have figured out 99% of the time, nobody stops you. Yeah. So they'll walk backwards into a nightclub, you know, and get in, you know, and so they, you know, because we create rules that don't exist all around us, to keep us from having a fulfilling life is what it boils down to, and life will pass you by, man.
Yeah, it will, and being able to kind of. I think a portion of that comes into the values of leadership. I mean, I just get bored. Like, you know, I mean, I'll stand in line at Walmart, and you know, maybe something's going on with the checker, or it's a new checker, or, you know, for some reason there's some long line. There's no other lines that seems to be popular these days, and you know, everyone's like, you know, they're feeling angry and pissed off, and I just gotta stand in this line, and I'm like, you know, I could feel that way about this moment right now, but let's bring some brevity to it. Let's make it fun. I'm just like, let's break the tension, and, you know, maybe say what everyone's thinking. This is what I like to do. I like to come here and just stand in line. I'm not really buying any groceries. I just had nothing better to do.
Just like to meet people.
I like to meet people.
Who like food. Yeah.
I'll look in their cart and I'll be like, oh, you know, what are you doing with that vegetable? What's that? What's that? You know, so I'll do stuff. And you know what's funny is people really appreciate it. I mean, they'll laugh. They're like, oh God, somebody who's making it less painful.
Yeah.
And, you know, I remember I called my dad one time. He was in the hospital and he was going in for multiple heart attacks and strokes. And this was a really bad one. They pulled him back he was kind of, they say he turned gray. I was out of state, so I didn't see it, but they said he turned gray, and whatever he'd done, he hadn't been taking his medicines, and he'd gone to the point of almost no return with his system and chemicals and stuff. And so they pulled him back, and I think he'd had a stroke, and I could tell in his voice he was really afraid of dying, and he was really fearful. And I called into him, and I was scared too. And my response was, I just jumped into starting telling just the most awful jokes ever, because that's usually how it begins. And you don't have to be that funny. You just have to say something. You just have to lead, or, you know, sometimes a stupid joke. I learned this from Norm Macdonald, a lot of great comedians. Sometimes you die to kill, as they call it in comedy. Yeah. So you tell a stupid ass joke that's just dumb. It's just, you know, it's not offensive. It's just, you know, you lay one out there just to kind of test the audience. and you know, a lot of people they'll laugh, you know, sometimes it's your little courtesy laugh, like, yeah, funny boy right there. And then, you know, you find some material to work with on the, you know, I usually make fun of the TV, made for TV Walmart stuff that's there, you know, the old Ronco crap you used to see on infomercials. You know, like, I don't think that really works. Does that really work? You think that works? People are like, I bought that one. That didn't work. And you'll see people start coming out of their shells. And it sure just beats sitting there in the miserable silence and just agony and just sitting there with, negative thoughts in your head going, I fucking hate flying. I do.
And it's you've learned to commiserate with people wherever you are, and that people enjoy it. They admire that. That's part of the charisma, is they admire that you're just comfortable chatting in an elevator. And they go, like, they almost start to ask themselves, what is the deal with the elevator silence? Where'd that rule? I'm looking for the sign that says no talking. And so, I was on an elevator once, and it's just that we're in this together. And this woman and I were riding up with this third guy. He gets out at another floor, and I just turned to her and I said, that was a lot of cologne, wasn't it? And she goes, yeah. She says, yeah, I thought it was just me, but wow, I don't think he knows how much he's putting on. And it's just a great moment, instead of just standing there silently.
One of the things we talk about on the show is part of stories and telling stories. And that's what the podcast is. It's a giant griot of a collection of people coming and telling their stories. And we learn, it's the owner's manual to life. That's how we learn life, through stories. And sometimes, the biggest aspect is realizing we're not alone. People get depressed and they self-harm and do things to themselves, sometimes because they're so isolated, and they've isolated themselves so much that they think it's just them. Like, they think the world is just trying to destroy them, and everybody else is just living this panacea of great life, and there's no problems, and everybody's got problems. And so by telling our stories, we realize we're not alone. And I think that's kind of what the segments are in those moments you're talking about. Now, some people are afraid to be embarrassed, or that they're afraid to flop. I mean, I've flopped sometimes, and sometimes I just go get another joke, or I try and do something else. And and a lot of people, they'll be like, okay, hey, he's a funny guy. All right. He's just, because the first joke sometimes cracks it, and they're just like, are we supposed to laugh at his stupid jokes? Is that okay? Is that against
Was
Walmart
that a joke?
policy?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And so tell us about that. I mean, what if you're afraid to be embarrassed? What if you're afraid to fail, or I'll look stupid if I just say something?
Yeah, it's the thing is, embarrassment is actually a choice. Whatever happens, you can choose to be embarrassed or not. You can spill wine on yourself, at a meal, and you can say, oh no, I gotta go home. Or you can say casually, this is why my dry cleaner loves me. And then wear it the rest of the day. You say, I didn't have a tie, so I tried to create a pattern on my shirt. Whatever, you've moved away, because we get trapped in this, we have to be perfect, as if any one of us is. And so when you show your human side, your comfort with being imperfect and being clumsy and doing something embarrassed, just because you did something stupid doesn't mean you are stupid. It doesn't mean you're clumsy all the time. It doesn't mean you're an idiot all the time. You did something, quote, embarrassing, but you chose not to take it on. Yeah. And that's a real transition, when you can let that go, when you're not so attached to you. I need to look perfect. I need to not stand out and embarrass myself. Bold people, it's like, you'll do this. I know you're doing this. You're deliberately embarrassing yourself, except you're not embarrassed about it.
Yeah. I don't give a fuck. You kind of have to send it out. I would rather have people laugh at my jokes, and I would be able to maybe improve the quality of their life. It's a pass along sort of mentality. My Starbucks that I used to go to when I went to Starbucks. Don't do that, people. Make your own espresso at home. When I used to go to Starbucks, there was a line, and I don't know what it was about my Starbucks, but it was in Vegas on the east side or the west side. And so there would always be somebody who paid it forward, right? So you'd always pull up, and they'd be like, the guy behind or front of you paid for your, do you want to keep the, passing along, whatever it's called? And I'm like, yeah. As long as it's under $20, I don't want to pay for more than $20 because I'm cheap.
Yeah.
And I'm kidding. We just pass it along. It was really always fun. You're like, somebody bought my coffee. Wait, hold on. And so to me, that's just passing it forward. And to me, you've got to, one of my belief systems is chase light around the world, looking at light and available light. We have a very limited amount of time. I'm going to try and enjoy myself here. And sometimes, what comedians do is we suffer the biggest depression. We have sometimes this is how we self heal ourselves in psychology, and we tell jokes and we make people laugh. And sometimes I can be miserable, and I can go into a place. I'm like, I'm going to tell some jokes to make people laugh, and then I'll feel better, and then they'll feel better, and we just pay it forward. And boy, God, it sure beats that death rattle, funeral line that you're in at Walmart or Starbucks, and it's just. You're just sitting there thinking angry thoughts, and you're bitter because, there's 10 people in line and someone's trying to use coupons from 1979 and they're arguing with the place about it, and you want to choke them, and you're just like, okay, I can choose violence and negativity, or I can inspire some people. And, it's a tool that comes really in handy, when you have to walk around the office and try and touch the hearts and minds of people. I've watched major CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. They spend the day, spend a couple hours with the board. They spend touching base with the management team, and they spend, the front line. They go down to the front line and just meet with people. You've got to like people. You've got to be interested in people. You have to care. I always forget the name of the great insult comedian. He used to do
Don Rickles.
Don Rickles. And I've always loved Don Rickles. And Don used to always say, you can insult people. You can even be, what a lot of people see as racist sometimes. You can hit stereotypes. But he goes, the difference is people can tell if you really mean it as an insult or if you really care about them as a human being and you're just trying to make them laugh and entertain them. And it really is a developed trick because I've seen people go and try and be funny, and they're just being really fucking insulting. And they think that they're pulling Don Rickles, but no. People have to feel that you care. And that's a real big difference too, because when they sense that, then they're like, whatever. Because I've been in situations where I'm being insulting because someone has crossed the line with me on customer service, or they're not quite getting the point of customer service, So I know the difference between Chris Voss doesn't give a fuck anymore, and he's insulting you because he wants you to know you're stupid, because you've done something stupid to Chris Voss, and it has to be something big, but people have to sense that. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is when you do what you do, you're changing their body chemistry. When we feel more connected to people, that changes what's the hormones that are flowing through our system. And for those people who can't summon the jokes as rapidly as you, which is probably most people,
they're all bad jokes too. Really.
Yeah, well, that's when you just lower the bar for yourself and lower until you've got something. But you can just compliment people. Yeah. Just offer a nice little compliment, and it has the same effect. It's like, hey, those glasses look great on you. I don't know where you found them, but they really match your face. Just do what I call a drive-by compliment. Yeah. You're not trying to pick them up. You're not trying to meet them or sell them real estate. You're just doing a little human connection. And what happens is you both get a dopamine hit out of it. Yeah. And why? So why not be that? Why not be the voice of upliftment out there?
The voice of reason, and it uplifts yourself. I mean, it's kind of self-serving. I mean, you might. What about people who call this sort of thing narcissistic? I mean, I think we all have a tendency of a little bit of narcissism. If you're masculine, you have some dark triad traits, but some people might say, well, Chris, you're a narcissist. You run around, think you're funny, and try and entertain people, and your jokes are dumb. And yeah, whatever. I'm not doing stand-up. You're not paying me, so fuck off. But what about
free?
Yeah. What about it's free? We're not charging for these jokes. So, people, I get complaints every now and then about talking too much on a show, and usually it's because I had to carry the author.
Is that why you're talking so much? Are you carrying me, Chris?
No, I'm not. In this show, I'm not carrying you. I'm actually just owning your content with I'm exempling.
You are the exemplar of boldness, which is true. That you are exactly that. People, they should learn to emulate you, because you're not a narcissist. A narcissist is just somebody who's so insecure and so selfish that they can't care about anybody else. And that's very different than somebody who's bold. Somebody who's bold is chasing their dreams, and they want to take as many people along with them. They want as many people. They don't have Schadenfreude. They don't need somebody to lose for them to win. They like it when other people win too. And they're like, I'll ride back and get you. Let's go together. Let's have fun.
A rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have something called carpe momentum. What is that?
So you hear people say carpe diem all the time, which is, seize the day. And I say, that's really Latin for crappy advice in my mind, because most of the time we don't have all day to respond to an opportunity. Many times, like you see somebody, like somebody on the street sees Chris Voss across the street or in Starbucks, and they go, "Oh, I really want to talk to him, but he doesn't want to talk to me. I'm not funny. I'm not interesting." And they have all these stories, and they let you disappear. And so we get trapped in this loop of, I'm not worthy. And so what you have to do is break free from that, so that you can just seize the moment. Because you don't have most of the time, most of the great things that happen to you, sometimes it's a split second. It's a yes or a no. Going back to, are you smarter than a fifth grader? When I was on that show, I had a split second to say yes or no to Jeff Foxworthy on whether I could do that last question.
Oh, really?
And I didn't get it, but I could live with not getting it. I couldn't live with not trying. And also, because I went for the last question, they repeated that episode endlessly, because most people don't go for it. And I happen to have an 800 dentist shirt on. So I got like $1 million of free publicity, even though I blew the question. So that's a seize the moment. Step up, say yes, take a risk. Don't overthink it. Seize the moments.
And that's really it too. Like, one of the things I try and do is I try and break the tension early. If I go on the plane and I sit there for an hour and then I decide to light up, not that kind of light up, people. I just realized when I said that you can't do that on planes anymore. There used to be a day, but when I start up, then it becomes weird, because people are like, what's going on? How come this weirdo just started talking to everybody? But no, the benefits you get from it too, and not only just uplifting society, rising tide lifts all boats, is you'll get goodies sometimes. I mean, I don't do it for goodies, but like I've had whole 2 rows of planes laughing at me, and people in the other parts of the plane are like, "What the hell is going on in the back?" Everyone's laughing their ass off, which is something you never hear on a plane.
No.
And a lot of times, like the waitress will bring my row free drinks. Sometimes I'll buy them free drinks just to get everything moving and lubricated. But and then then they will laugh at my stupid jokes. But
that's why comedy clubs require you a 2-drink minimum.
2-drink minimum. They don't want you getting free drinks. So and I've had them giving drinks to everybody, and like the 2 rows laugh around me and having fun, and they're just so happy to have happy people on the plane and not have to deal with the misery. And I think the stewardesses are happy too. And most people are. And like, so I'm at Starbucks. Hey, you want an extra biscuit, or whatever the hell it is, donut. We got these donuts. You want someone? You made everybody laugh, And so I don't do it for that, but sometimes it's kind of nice. Sometimes you meet people. Sometimes people come up to you and like, hey, what's your name? And what do you do? And what's the podcast? They'll see the hat. So people should learn to practice this. If they read your book, they can practice it. Let's get into how did you learn to be this way? Did you grow up an introvert? Did you have issues like I did when I was a child?
Yeah, I was very much like you. I was a painful introvert. I was, too shy to ask girls out, and I just missed fun and opportunity, and it just frustrated me and made me angry because I kept missing out on so much that I said I gotta start emulating bold people, even though it makes me really uncomfortable. And what happened is it did make me really uncomfortable, but I got a benefit from it. I got and what it did is it made me a little bit more confident. And I figured out, well, if I keep acting bold, even if I'm not confident, I get more confident. And also I get some. And this is what I tell people is it's bold action builds your confidence, because they say, well, I'd be more confident. I mean, I'd be bolder if I were more confident. It's like, no, that's if you're doing something because you're confident, it doesn't require any boldness. So I want you to be bold when it makes you uncomfortable, but when the stakes are low, like talking to somebody in the elevator or on an airplane, there's nothing bad's going to happen. Yeah. And what happens is you expand your comfort zone so that you are bold when it matters. You've built this boldness muscle so that when, you're at a funeral and they say, does anybody want to say anything? You don't sit there and not get up and not say anything about the pain and loss that you feel and how much you love this person. And then you get a regret that will gnaw on you. I should have said something. Well, guess what? You didn't seize the moment. And it went away. They said, all right, if nobody wants to say anything, we'll go on and we'll sing, hallelujah. And so, I'll jumpstart things at funeral, and I'll do what you do. I'll be funny at times. And the effect, and the effect it has on people that you say, let me tell you something about this person that he's a great guy, but an extraordinary slob. And they all go laugh and they go, oh my God, he was such a slob. But they don't care anymore. They just they want a release, from the grief for a moment. So that's what I want people to do, is just do something when, build your boldness when the stakes are low, when the consequences are inconsequential. So that you are bold when it matters, because there will be times when it really matters that you have to act. You have to seize that moment. You have to step up, speak up, tell, and sometimes it's the boldness to be kind. Because we hesitate from helping somebody out or offering assistance and go, oh, somebody else will help them. If I bike ride, I road bike. And if you stop on your bike, almost invariably, another guy on a bike will slow down and go, you all right? Yeah. Because we've all had flat tires and didn't have a pump with us, know? And so be bold enough to reach out for people, offer your arm to a woman who's about to cross the street, or help somebody put their suitcase up on an airplane. Don't just stand there and watch them struggle with it.
Well, sometimes that's kind of fun, though. You usually film that and put it on TikTok.
You let them do it a little bit before you step up and be kind. You can't waste the comedic moment.
Yeah, what you do is you wait until they finally get it in, and it's about to do that final slide in because they finally got the angle right, and then you yell out, "Hey, do you need help with that?"
Yes, that's because deep in your core, you're a very dark, evil person, Chris. Occasionally, it surfaces.
There is some dark triad psychopathy there, but sometimes that's funny. People. I've never been arrested for bad jokes and being funny. I probably should be, but they haven't created laws yet, so I'm running with it. But no, the other thing is it transposes into so much quality into your other life. If you're a man, if you can get a woman to laugh, you got a really good chance at not only having a great relationship with her, but also, it's a great way to, I mean, I've had so many women that I made them laugh that they'll go on another date with me at very least, and then later they find out that I have a bold smell, and because I don't bathe more than once a week, but and then they figure out that my jokes are bad. But women have always said, if you find a guy who laughs, and something might happen around here. Your employees, being a leader with your employees, I think being charismatic and being interesting to your children as a parent is important. I was really an interesting child for that. But no, it just transposes into the quality of your life across the board. And then you don't feel isolated. You don't feel introverted. I grew up an introvert. The reason I've been telling my story is to prove to people that you can go from there to here. There's some people I'll be like, well, I don't do anything because I'm an introvert. You can change it. No, you can. You are the way you are. You're like, no, I used to be that way.
No, they're trapping themselves in their self-definition. I tell people say, no, I'm really shy. I say, really? You shy at Thanksgiving dinner? You shy with your best friend? You're shy in the movie theater with all the lights off? Yeah, no, you laugh out loud. Yeah. And I said, you exhibit shy behavior in certain situations. But if you want to define yourself that way or let other people define you that way, then that is the choice you're going to make in most situations, is to step back, to stop yourself and miss out. Hey, life is short. Yeah. And it can change in a minute. You can go from healthy to really sick or really injured in a heartbeat. I want you seizing those moments, because we don't know how long we're in the game of life here. The coach hasn't told us how long we're going to be on the court. So seize those moments. Bring your full self out there and stop being trapped by, oh, I'm an introvert. And hey, why let extroverts have all the fun anyway? Yeah. Jump on. There's as you said, they have not written the laws yet, at least in this country. So yeah, I think in Venezuela now it's not allowed to make people.
Is it really? Oh, well, the Madero, yeah.
He's a rough guy.
Yeah, I mean, the Madero diet's kind of funny, really, when you think about it. So I think we're starting out with a tariff diet in 2025. Anyway, jokes aside, so Superbold, tell us what you offer on your website as offerings. So you do speaking and do you do consulting, coaching, help people go crawl out of their shell?
Yeah. So the main thing that I do is keynote speaking. I'll also do longer sessions, and it can either be for anything. I love college students. I'd love for them to seize their boldness before they hit the streets and try to figure out how to not live with their parents for the rest of their life. But it's primarily I'll speak to an entire team or in the whole company, or I'll speak to the sales team, because you need boldness. As like you say, you got to sell. You got to eat what you kill. So you got to be bold enough to go out there and prospect. And if you were just 10, 20% bolder, you don't have to be 5 times bolder than you are now to suddenly have a great career. And what happens is you build your confidence as a salesperson by being bolder, by asking for a bigger order. So I occasionally I'll coach a CEO if he's got enough money. If I'm, as you know, like if he's, if he's got leadership challenges, I ran a company with 250 people and we peaked out at about $50 million a year. But we did it for 20 something years.
Is that all?
Yeah, I know. I know.
That's pretty awesome.
I'm a slacker, I sold out early, but and
still really good.
And occasionally do workshops. You'll love this in terms of like not being embarrassed. The last workshop I did, there was an opportunity that I offered people to do an embarrassment challenge, which was to strip and wear an adult diaper and walk a city block. And we had 7 guys willing to do it. and one woman, and she was, "Can I keep my tights on?" And I said, "We got to ask the guys." It's like, and the guys went, "Yeah, let her keep it." And we did it. We all did it. I said, "I'm going to do it. If you guys do it, I'm going to do it." And we did it. And they came back and they went, "That was such a non-event." Because they were deliberately being ridiculous. Because one woman actually went by and went, "You look ridiculous." And one guy went like, "Really? How so? I don't know what you mean." And it was like, yeah. So if you act foolish on purpose, then you're getting the expected result, and you realize it means nothing.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't have to take anything on.
Yeah. It's the one point I was trying to make earlier. I was trying to lead into, I think, with the story. I segued, I guess, too hard, and I'm doing it again.
Is it gone again?
No, I got it, but I'm just. I don't know why I'm doing more segue jokes on top of segue jokes, but here we are. Anyway, I'm stalling for time, clearly, to remember it. But, Norm Macdonald and who was the great comedian from the show Taxi? He went on to do stand-up and that wrestling bit, and he would do the bits on Letterman.
Andy Kaufman.
Andy Kaufman.
You need me as your co-host just to offer names.
Yeah, just to be my name reference.
Right. I'll just jump in with a name and then I'll go back off camera.
And Andy would get up and he would kill on stage, or he would die on stage to kill. And if you know the terms of that, to die means you really suck. Your jokes aren't funny. But to kill means you're really funny. Well, a true comedian that's really good, he can die on stage with his jokes, but people know what he's up to. They know that he's working something. Like I would see Norm Macdonald go on Conan and he'd read the paper. Andy Kaufman would go out, read the Bible, and then he'd take everyone out for donuts or something. They would do things to kill on stage. And part of it is they're pushing comedy. They're trying to figure out where their limits are and what people will find funny, because you're always trying to, push the new joke. But learning to tell bad jokes just to get things rolling. And then usually once something comes out, or somebody will say something funny too. Like sometimes I'll be in a line in Walmart and I'll say something about something and somebody will be like, "Oh yeah." And I'm like, "Hey, that's pretty funny." And then I'll try and build on what they have. And it's not really complicated. It's just entertaining yourself through life. It's also about holding frame too. I don't know if you think about that when you talk about stuff, but I try and hold frame wherever I'm at. I try to be the guy in the room. I'll go to parties and I'll just start talking to people, telling jokes, and people come over, and then pretty much I have a whole bunch of people laughing in front of me, and I'm getting the juice of people laughing, and it's fun because it beats just standing there going, "I'm just standing at the party."
Checking out the CD collection.
It's just miserable, man. It's just miserable. And I get bored, no CD, but it's fun. And sometimes people will say stuff to you. They're like, "Hey man, thanks for really doing that, man, because I really hate this." so do I.
Yeah. Well, I'll zero in at a party. If I see the wallflower, I go, "That used to be me." I'd go over and I just chat him up. Yeah. And I'll drag him into a conversation with 2 or 3 other people, and then it's catch and release. It's like, all right, you're fine now. You got some people to talk to. I could move on. Because I hate to see people trapped like that. It's so unnecessary.
Yeah, it's miserable. Like, you don't want to see people miserable. So I think I started telling the story of my dad when I called in, and then I segued. But I could hear the fear. I was fearful in my voice, and so I started telling just really bad joke. I couldn't come up with anything because I was really afraid, and so was he. And I could hear it in his voice, and it was throwing me. And so I started some lame. He's married, and he's been married twice for long marriages, and so I started talking about him hitting on the nurses. I'm like, you got any hot nurses? You hitting on the nurses? It was like a low bar to start with, and he was like, I was just dying, and I just kept at it and just kept selling stupid hospital food jokes and anything I could pull, and pretty soon I had him laughing. And you could hear the change in his voice. You could hear the fear go away. You could hear him, he kind of, it brought perspective. to the situation, and yeah, maybe he was going to be okay. It gave him hope. I think, that's something I've been tuning into lately, as to how humans use hope, and how it's probably our most enduring and best trait, is being able to find hope in the darkest of moments. And I think that's kind of what sometimes we do in those moments. We let everybody know, hey, there's hope. We're not alone. We're going to get through this. It's not as bad as we think it is. That, or at least we're gonna survive for another day, and things will get better. And so sometimes that's kind of what you're doing. You're kind of patting everybody in the back, going, "We're gonna get through this, whatever this life thing is." Right?
Yeah. No, yeah. I had a close friend of mine passed away this year, and in his last few days, I was visiting him every day as he was spiraling down. And at one point, I was sitting there, and his brother was in the room too, and I knew his funny bone, and I at one point I just started to tell him this thing that I had done, this situation I had got into, and how badly it went. And at one point, he just threw his head back and laughed, and I went like, "That's what I'm looking for. This is the guy I remember. I want him to get one more big laugh out of him." And and he was gone a couple of days later. But that's the image I have in my head, is him just laughing. Because the clock's running out for all of us.
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
So and sometimes it happens sooner than not. Somebody can have a car accident and be gone. I've had friends that they seem perfectly healthy, and all of a sudden the cancer things go off the rails. But being able to give hope, share hope, I think it helps. But it makes such a difference in my life. It makes a difference with women and dating. It makes a difference when I'm in relationships. If I can be entertaining and fun, and I don't always want to be the court jester. You got to make sure the other person's interesting too. I've had girlfriends where I'm like, I'm going to pay to have her kidnapped so that something can happen to her, so she's got a great story to tell me, because she's like, really,
she's got nothing, right?
She's got nothing,
Yeah.
And part of it is you kind of have to be a person who looks around at your environment. You have to be interested in people, like you said. Sometimes as a comedian, you'll always work the person who's not laughing. That person will bug you. I remember one time I was speaking, and it was really bugging me because the first two rows were looking at me like I was a crazy man and like I was an idiot, and they weren't laughing at any of my jokes, and it really fucked up my whole speech. And I got off stage, and I go, "What the hell is with the first two rows? They're just looking at me and talking amongst themselves." They go, "That's the deaf crowd, Chris. We put them in the front row. Did you not see the signing guy on the side of the stage doing the signing?" And I was like, "Fuck! No wonder they were looking at me."
Yeah.
And man, I tuned into those guys because I was trying everything I could to get those people to laugh. And evidently, I'm not good in the deaf.
Your jokes don't convert to sign language. That's
but I'm going to work on that because I want them to laugh too. Yeah. So tell people how they can work with you. I see on your website you've got speaking exercises, so you can go to the gym and build your comedy. And courses or something. How does that work? Tell us about that.
Yeah. So obviously on the website, there's a whole page devoted to the keynotes that I do. And also when you go to the website, or actually I have an app. If you just go to the App Store, there's a Fred Joyal app there. And you can download a PDF that gives you the simple steps to make anyone feel like the most important person in the room. And it's actually so much easier than you realize. And I've just seen, we see people do it, and they're like, why do I suddenly feel so great? And it's because of these very basic things that they do. And it's just a learnable skill. I mean, something you have it naturally. Like you've been doing.
I developed it though.
Yeah, but you didn't know. You developed it just because you were pushing your envelope. You said, like, I want this feedback loop. I want people laughing. I want them comfortable around me. Yeah. And so I'm just trying to get people jump started so that they can build the momentum on who they want to be. I mean, they may not want to be funny. They may want to start a business. Hey, it takes boldness to start a business.
Oh, yeah.
You don't know how it's going to go. Shit's going to come at you like you couldn't possibly conceive. And you'd never start a business if you knew what was probably coming. But you do it, and you know what? In the end, you're glad you did.
You are. Yeah.
Yeah.
It does take boldness. And I like how you identify that it's action, because some people think, well, I posted on Facebook, I'm really bold right now. And you're like, okay, well, cool story, man. And you see a lot of faux, fake confidence and fakeness on social media where people try to pretend to be bold. I see a lot of what we call copium in the communities of dating and stuff, where people are clearly suffering being single, and they try to present themselves as bold and like, I'm killing it right now being single, and you're like, you sound utterly miserable.
You just sound a little desperate there.
Sounds like you're actually signaling for help.
Right. Why is there a razor in your hand?
Yeah. I'm fine. I'm just tying this noose off here. That's a really bad joke. Robin Williams too soon. But this is kind of some of the most depressed people are comedians. That's the funny thing. I mean, there used to be a lot of years where I was telling jokes to survive and run from myself. And many comedians are, and that's why you see so many of them die of suicide or chemical overdose. Sometimes being the clown is, someone said it to me when I was really young. I said, sometimes the clown's the person you got to worry about the most when it comes to them self-harming or being depressed or whatever. And but sometimes the situations you're in life are just so freaking boring. Add some color, add some splash. And then I kind of like it. I get a juice when I make people feel good. When you see them light up, whether they're employee, you come on, hey, how's things going with the wife and kids at home? How's like, oh yeah, the wife's ignoring you and angry at you or whatever, you just tap on some bit. Oh yeah, well, that's how wives are. Or, oh, that's you're married. That's how it goes. Or, just something like that. And they go, oh yeah. And, you just sometimes you just hit those trope jokes of whatever, and they'll laugh a little bit, and when people sense you care, even though your jokes suck, which all mine do, everyone in the podcast listening right now is like, yeah, these jokes really suck. They're like, hey man, at least this person cares, man. They're trying to entertain me, and they know that I'm not there, women know I'm not there going, trying to, hey, get your number. I'll tell a joke and then I'll walk away. Like, I don't give a fuck. And sometimes people come up to me at parties or afterwards and go, you're really funny. Thanks for helping me out. I've had people tell me I've had a horrible day today, and you really changed it up. And what's that pass it forward thing? I tried to highlight that earlier, but sometimes, if you honk at somebody and you're rude to them and flip them off on the street, or somebody does that to you, you kind of go about your day and then you're mean to the next person because you're carrying that anger. And so sometimes just passing it forward with being nice and caring about people and being interested in them, it'll make your whole day go better. Like it'll just change everything. And then you'll be nice to somebody and they'll be nice, and then pretty soon maybe you got a better world. I don't know.
Yeah, it reverberates. I mean, and it doesn't take boldness to be a critic. It doesn't take boldness to complain or to find the negative in something. Nowadays, it takes boldness to find the upside. And just reflect that back. If somebody goes like, I can't believe it's raining again, I was like, yeah, you know what? It's just, I sleep so much better with the sound of rain on the roof that I don't mind. Yeah. And they go, oh yeah, and you know what? So do I. And you derail. I kind of get off on derailing the negative. Mm-hmm. Like when somebody indulges themselves like that, and it's like, stop accentuating the negative here. It's because you're putting the wrong chemicals through your body, and it's going to eat your colon at the rate you're going, so try to uplift people, like you say, make them laugh, make them feel good about themselves for a moment. And maybe you've changed, like you said, somebody was really down and you made them laugh and they went like, boy, I needed that. And you go, yeah, that's deep down. That's why I'm doing it. Is I know somebody out there needs a lift, needs a bright spot, needs some light shining on them because they've been in a lot of darkness. And that's a lot of people. So be willing to do that. Be willing. Don't be somebody who's going to sit back and say, oh, I hope somebody helps them. Help somebody. your life's not going well, go help somebody else.
Yeah. And I've died in the line at Walmart. I've died on a plane. I've died everywhere. And sometimes that first joke, I won't have spent much time thinking about it. I'll just cut it just to get a test of the room. And like timing's everything. So sometimes I'll die. I'll tell something really joke, and people just be like, what's that weird guy doing? Where's my gun? And this sounds like one of those guys who's going to go off on the Walmart TikTok. And then I'll just let it sit and marinate for a second that I died. Like, this is what I'm talking about with Norm Macdonald, where you learn to kill, or you learn to die to kill. And then I'll be like, that was a really shitty joke. That bombed. Rough crowd, I'll do like, that's a tough crowd. And then I'll try and sling another joke. And at that point, they realize I'm just being freaking human. I'm just trying to make them laugh. And they're just like, oh, I'll laugh at his stupid jokes. And no one cares. Like, no one's going to remember it. Maybe someone's going to remember it. Maybe it's going to lighten their day. I feel better. And then I don't want to choke the person who's the checker who's wants to tell their life story to everybody going through the line at the grocery store. I know you have a podcast here too. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I bring people on very similar to yourself who have made bold moves in their life, and I have them talk about that, the times that they stepped up and took a big risk in it and why it paid off, and the times they were hesitant and they missed opportunities, and those opportunities gnawed at them. They were a regret that they dragged around, and they said, I'm not letting that happen anymore. I know young men who, it's harder to date now, and they say, what, I just can't figure out how to meet anybody. And I said, that's because you're not talking to anybody.
You have to talk to people to date now? What the hell?
You're swiping. And that's the other thing in this world that we live in of digital communication and social media and AI. Those aren't real connections. And so your ability to make real connections is going to be your irreplaceable advantage in life as you move forward, because people don't know how to make eye contact. They don't know how to shake hands, some of them. Yeah. And it's like these are basic interactive skills that you're going to want to develop. And if you're uncomfortable doing it, then you have to do it till you're not uncomfortable. Yeah.
And that's really, that's what comedians do. And no one's people, like I said, you don't have to write great jokes. Like I'll one of my defaults, if I bomb, I just go, hey, they all can't be winners, folks. And people will laugh at that. They recognize that I'm being human and I'm not just a complete narcissistic sociopath. And I think my jokes are funny.
Well, and you've seen this in stand-up. I've seen guys with B- material deliver it with such confidence that they kill night after night. And I've seen A++ material delivered underconfidently, and you and I will be sitting there going, man, that's a great joke. But we're not laughing. We're reflecting on the brilliance of the writing. But the delivery, the lack of confidence in the delivery has wasted great material. And it's the same thing in life. Get out there. You don't have to be clever all the time or hilarious. You just have to be nice. You just have to be friendly. You just have to be open.
Yeah.
And that draws people in.
To your point, like I sit down on a plane. The first thing I do is introduce myself and shake hands. And it just makes it so much better of a ride. And if you break that ice right away, you tell some jokes. Hey, table trays up. There's all sorts of material you can do. The why is it always in plane travel? You just think of, who's that one comedian, Seinfeld? Sometimes just saying something is a question. Like,
did you ever notice? Right? Yeah.
Why is there a TSA? Like, what is the point of that? Right? Yeah. And so if you break the ice, if you reach out to people, it's that tension's gone, and people feel that they can talk to you and you can roll off them. But the same thing, I on my podcast, I meet 3 strangers a day and I make a friend at the end. Like I try and entertain, and I try and entertain my audience. But at the end of the day, I really have three complete strangers like yourself, Fred. You and I didn't know each other before this, and I'm going to come away with just a great feeling, and I'm going to be like, hey, this Fred's really cool. I just made a new friend in the world, and we're going to pull that off in like 30 minutes. Sometimes I'm friends with people just in the green room, joking around with them, trying to get them loosened up for the show, and it's a real skill after a while, but you can use it in so many different ways, and that's what makes it so great.
Yeah, and I appreciate this time with you too, and I think I look forward to running into you somewhere, ideally on a plane, and we're
gonna throw a party
plane going, so
we're gonna go on tour and stand up. So if people want to reach out to you, how do they get involved with you? How do they reach out to you? How do they find out more?
So fredjoyal.com, Joyal, and the book Superbold, it's not a book about football. It's about boldness. It's is available on Amazon in the Kindle, hardcover, and Audible. And it's me reading the audiobook. And it's got a bunch of exercises in it that you can do to build your boldness muscle much faster than you thought possible. If you want me to speak to your company or to your team, you just track me down. We'll get in a conversation, see if I can sync up with you and bring some value, because a bold company is what's necessary at this point in this high-speed world that we're living in, where you can't have a 5-year business plan anymore. You gotta pivot every morning sometimes, and so I'm trying to bring life skills to people. And I've even spoken to high school classes, and it's a blast, because it's like I get them. It's like I wish I understood this at your age, because my life would be radically different. I would have dated a lot more women in my early years. I have had a couple of terrific wives and met many great people along the way, and have met amazing celebrities along the way, because I went up to them and just started chatting with them like a normal person, instead of a drooling fan trying to get a selfie. And because of it, I have great memories of real interaction. And that's what you and I are talking about, is real connection. Whether you make somebody laugh, or you make them feel good with a compliment, or you just offer them a moment of kindness or help or support, or positivity. That's real human connection. And boy, do we need it more than ever.
Oh, yeah. I love your message there, because you see so many people just being phone zombies in public. And they're kind of doing it to isolate too. Like, there are times where I'm like, I don't want to talk to these fucking people. And I'll just be like, I'm going to just go look at my phone, pretend like I'm busy doing stuff. Sometimes I have my moods where I'm just like, I really don't want to entertain today. And I just want to get through this line and get my coffee or whatever that is. But sometimes I find that, jokes will lift my spirits. And, there's probably some chemicals to this, right? Endorphins, dopamine. It's good for you.
And people say, well, I like to be alone. I said, yeah, I want you to be alone by choice, not by popular demand. Okay. I have, like you do. I get a lot of work done when I'm completely alone. I like my alone time, but if I feel like, wow, I've been alone too much, I'm not lonely. I just go out and find anybody. And whether it's, I'll go into a bar, I'll go into a coffee shop, I'll grab a friend on the phone. But I'm not saying you have to be a social butterfly. That's not the goal. The goal is to not stop yourself from bringing your full self to the world and connecting with human beings. We are social creatures. That's how human beings evolved and survived. It is deep in our DNA to need social interaction. So if you're depriving yourself of it, or just doom scrolling instead of interacting with real human beings face to face, you're not going to be resilient when it matters, and you're going to be lonely. And that's not a good place to be.
Yeah, I mean, that's where all the depression is. I mean, COVID's really destroyed a lot of our social skills. I have a big, huge dating group, and it's amazing how many people, they're my age, they're in their 50s, and they're like, yeah, I'm too shy, I don't talk to people after COVID. I just kind of learned to be in my own shell. And I'm like, knock it off. Like, I can see young people doing it because they're kind of finding their way in the world, but, you know, you're old. Like, what do you care anymore?
Yeah, why do you worry? Why do you have anybody's opinion that you worry about at this point?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing about bold people is there's like 5 people whose opinions matter to them. It's like their dad, their spouse, their best friend, and their coach. Everybody else is like, what they think about me is their problem. Their opinion to me is their issue, not mine. I don't have time for it.
Yeah.
And that is liberating. When you can get to that point, because most people are worried when they say, oh, they're all going to laugh at me. Really? All of them? And you know all of them? And it's going to hurt so much that these 400 people are going to laugh at you? Or maybe they're going to forget in about 2 seconds and go back to thinking about themselves, which is where everybody else is.
That's easy. When I see people over 40, it makes me mental when they're really still worried about what other people think. And I'm like, honey, at 40, everybody has so many problems and so many things they're just trying to get, and they're just trying to survive sometimes. Like right now, I'm just trying to wake up every day breathing. I'll kind of joke about this, but 100 years ago, or up until the 50s, we didn't live past 65 and even 50s. That's why Social Security, when they made it, was such a boon for the government, because like most people didn't live to 65.
Yeah, they paid in for 40 years and lived too.
Yeah, they lived too, and they died, and the government we kept all the cash.
My aunt lived to 102, and she worked for the Registry of Motor Vehicles as well. So she bled the state dry, and the federal
to
government.
The man.
Oh yeah, she got paid longer than she worked. Just good for her. But,
good for her. 100. That's crazy, man. I'm halfway, I guess. Then.
Yeah.
But it's I mean, making the world a better place. I mean, people always ask me, what's your purpose in life? Make the world a better place and hopefully leave behind a better world. Or better influence and stuff. I don't know. There might be 5 people show up to my funeral. Who cares? But
Chris, I'll go. All
Thank
right.
You,
and I'll say something. It'll be inappropriate, which will make you happy.
Tell some dirty jokes at my funeral. Yeah, we sent him to the. Anyway, I'm not going to do that joke about necrophiliacs. We sent him to the necrophiliac cemetery. I hope he had a good time as he was going out. So thank you very much for coming to the show, Fred. You've been really inspiring. It's been great. I've been kind of bantering our boldness to kind of show off people that you can go from being an introvert to bold, and you can tell bad jokes. You too. I sound like a Ronco commercial. You too can tell bad jokes like Chris Voss.
And we'll throw in a set of steak knives.
If you subscribe now, I'll get my second manual on really awful bad jokes that will embarrass you and kill you. So thank you very much for coming on, Fred. Give us your .coms, a final pitch out as we go out. Tell people where they can onboard, etc.
FredJoyal.com, Joyal, spelled like royal. And I grabbed the misspellings too, but yeah, the book is on Amazon. Superbold, From Underconfident to Charismatic in 90 Days. Check it out. Thanks, Chris. This has been a blast.
Thank you. It's been super fun. I've been having fun. The longest shows are always the funnest. Order up the book, folks, wherever fine books are sold. It's called Superbold, From Underconfident to Charismatic in 90 Days. It will change the quality and richness of your life in ways that you can't even measure and anticipate. Sometimes I met some really amazing friends and people in my life just by being obnoxious telling jokes. And that's what we call it. I've met some beautiful women and had great relations with them because I was funny and interesting, or at least they thought I was funny looking enough. So to pick up his book wherever fine books are sold and reach out to Fred, check out his podcast as well. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for being on the show, Fred. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And thanks for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss one, the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time. Well, I could